Look at this sky. Look at this fucking tree, man. I mean, is that not beautiful? I'm struck by, that was not the topic in my mind as I walked outside and sat down. That's just the message that I am feeling, I am receiving right now, which is, it's all good. It is just chill. Chill the fuck out. It's all so good. It really is. I wanted to express fuck, I don't even know. It feels like we're moving into a period of flow, easier flow. It's always all flowing, but like things are loosening up, where there felt like a lot of tension and a lot of stagnation and this sort of pushing and this stuck feeling. It's like things are breaking loose, and now we have all this forward momentum, and there's a lot more ease. It feels like I can breathe a little more easily. And I have this strong desire to just let things happen. I feel like I've been worrying about the happening and making things happen. I get caught up in that mental space pretty easily. And have just been remembering and reminding myself that nothing has to happen. There's no shoulds, there's no have tos. It's all up to me. And if I feel like something is too soon or too difficult or just too big, too scary, that's okay. Maybe that is not the path of least resistance right now. There's something to be said for pushing ourselves into situations that are uncomfortable, but there needs to be a strong desire there. And it's the recognition of, I feel genuine satisfaction for having done this, even though it feels scary. If I hadn't done this at this time, I wouldn't have been pleased with myself. That's different from feeling like, I don't know if I really want to do this right now, and pushing myself to do it right now feels like too big of a step. It just doesn't feel, I don't feel ready. It doesn't feel ready for me. And I've been contemplating this in regards to my job situation, essentially, and you know, wanting to expand with reading tarot, wanting to get back into that and doing that for people, and the potential of that being a business and my main source of income, but the things that would take, and leaving this job, and there was this feeling of like pressure. Oh, if I don't do it now, I'm missing out, I'm letting myself down, am I wasting my potential, that kind of thing. When I feel the truth really is, I'm making too big a deal of all of it. So there are ants crawling on my legs, and I don't want them to get squished here in my shoe. Can you carefully remove yourself? Thank you. Yeah, just stepping back and realizing there is nothing here that I have to do. I don't have some special mission. I'm fulfilling my purpose by being. There's no way that I can avoid fulfilling my purpose. It's just what happens. It's just what is. I'm not going to miss out on destiny, on what it is I'm supposed to be doing. There is no supposed to be. If there's something for me to be doing, then it'll happen. And it won't be a question of when or if or how. It'll just take place. It'll happen naturally. It'll just segue into that next thing. I will reach the end of a road and find a new vehicle waiting open, keys in the ignition, gassed up, just sitting there waiting for me to step into it that leads down a new path. There's none of this feeling like I have to find the car and the place to jump, and I gotta angle it just right and calculate the speed of the different vehicles. That's what it feels like right now. Like I'm pushing for something that's just not ready to happen. And what I want is ease. What I want is ease. Ease of transition. That's not only allowed, I think that's better. I think that's better. I think that is the way that it's intended to be. And again, not that there's anything wrong with other things. I can't be in anyone else's shoes. I can't live their life. I can't be in the perspective of that person who decides they're going to quit their job today and start doing this other thing. They did that because they were ready. They did that because something in them said now is the time. And it maybe felt scary, but the feeling of desire and rightness overpowered everything else. That means it's ready. That means it's ready for you and you're ready for it. It's like the baby that has gestated a full length, a full term, and now it's ready to come out and your body is ready to push it out. Because it takes both. And I just feel like I'm not quite there yet. It's not quite time. Something is growing. Many things are growing. Many seeds have been planted and they're in many stages of growth, and some of them are close to popping. But this one is just, it feels like I would be inducing labor too soon. It's just not ready yet. It's not time. And realizing that has helped me relax a lot more into, again, just the present moment. I realized I've been thinking so much about the next day, about tomorrow, about the next week, the next month, and thinking about the future really doesn't accomplish anything other than trapping my consciousness there and keeping me feeling unstable in the present moment, when all I really want to do or need to do to feel good is to stop. Stop trying to think about the future. Stop trying to predict. Stop trying to see 5 minutes, 10 minutes from now, any amount of time from now. Just see now. Just be now and see it and be in it fully, completely. Just be present for what is here and stop worrying about what's coming next. I want to trust. I want to feel the assurance. I want to stop planning for the what if, the every case, trying to predict every scenario and how am I going to respond in it. I don't need to know that. I don't want to know that. Whatever happens is going to happen, and I will respond appropriately by the measure of the universe, not societal standards. And that just means the response that is in the highest good of all. I'm a part of the higher order. I can't escape it. I can't go against it. I have free will, but that free will was created by and within divine will. It can't go against it. Nothing can. You see? You can't get it wrong. You can't fuck it up for yourself or anybody. It's just not possible. So I don't have to worry about trying and figuring things out and coming up with a plan. I can just let it be. And that's what I want. That's what I want to do. That's what feels the best. Things have shifted tremendously, been shifting, continuing to shift. And I'm also just paying attention, again, continuously to this reality that, hold on. Okay, I wasn't sure if someone was pulling up and I thought it was my lady. It is not. This reality that my brain doesn't want me to feel good. And it is looking for the negative. It's looking for drama. It's looking to stir something up. And I do think that there is something very valuable about anger, and there are deeper levels of it, I feel. But there's a difference. There's this surface level anger, and then there's a deeper rage. And I want to acknowledge them both, and I want to hold space for them both, because they're both within me. They're both a part of my experience. And I don't want to reject either of them or repress either of them. That serves nobody and nothing. And, you know, the reality is that I am human being. I have a human, I have a person, and that person is very capable of egoic reaction and downright pettiness. That's just the truth that I want to acknowledge. But I have a stronger desire for peace than anything else. And so it's selfish, really. My desire for peace outweighs the pull towards pettiness, because really I just want to feel good. And I know that ego says it'll take me there. I know it says, oh, this is gonna feel good. But I also know from experience that it's not, that it doesn't. What am I talking about? I mean, I'm being purposefully very general, but at least in my present experience, stuff to do with my ex. We're selling the condo. We got an amazing offer today. I had known, I had believed, I had been trusting that it was just gonna happen. It was obviously gonna happen. But we got a really awesome offer. And we both signed off on all the paperwork pretty much without talking to each other. And I had kind of known, we hadn't really talked about it, but I have this strong sense that she feels entitled to whatever profits there may be. That she doesn't feel like I am owed any of that, deserve. We've both paid on the mortgage. We've split it pretty evenly. I've been paying all the bills for the past year, and the HOA. She put down the earnest money for the house, and she's the primary on the mortgage. And so I am the secondary. I am on the hook for all the same things that she is, but in her eyes, she has done the bulk of it, and it's her responsibility. And because it's her responsibility, even though I've insisted we share this responsibility, we both signed this mortgage. We are equally legally responsible for it. She believes it is her responsibility to handle all of it, and therefore she's essentially entitled to anything else from it. And I can feel the parts of myself that want to rise up against that and claim my own entitlement and what is owed to me. And I'm recognizing that those feelings are ego. I'm not saying that they're right or wrong, because each of us is entitled to our own abundance, but for me there's a fine line. If I am demanding, if I am chasing a person down and saying, this is my money and you better give it to me because it's owed, that doesn't feel like trusting in my abundance. That doesn't feel like my believing in my absolute and undeniable wealth. That feels like a lack mindset. That seems like it's from a sensation of, if I don't get this money from this person, then essentially harm befalls me, then this is an insult, this is a harm to me. Whereas I feel true abundance is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is not my time or place to claim what is mine and squabble over material things. It's not a bad thing to have material things. It's not a bad thing to want money, to accumulate money. None of that is bad. None of that is wrong. Nor would fighting for it be wrong. It just feels like giving away my power. It feels like going about it the wrong way. Why am I asking for money from a person when I ask for, I have the rest of myself. I have infinite resources. I have infinite money. I have infinite abundance. I can just ask for that to be delivered to me by the universe, tap into my non-physical bank account, and know that it shows up. I don't need to fight somebody over it. I don't need to demand my share, because if I'm demanding my share, then I'm perceiving a pie that is limited. If I am fighting for my slice of the pie, I'm perceiving a finite pie. When the pie of resources, all resources, is infinite. So why would I need to fight for that? I can let that go. And I can recognize too that all is myself, and so for any of myselves to receive abundance in any form, that is just making me feel and experience my richness. I can see that we are the same self, she and I. And so her receiving a windfall is my receiving a windfall, is my reinforcement of my own abundance. Money never leaves me. It can't. It's within me. Everything is me. It never even changes hands. It's from my hand to my hand. So it never goes anywhere. It just flows from place to place. And there is so much of it. There is an infinite amount of it. I don't have to worry about where it's going or where it's coming from. The more that I let it go, the more that I let it come to me. That's it. That's what feels better to me. That's what I want to tap into. Not this sense of owing or being owed. And I recognize that when I have a reaction towards that, witnessing that behavior in her, it's really a reaction towards that behavior in myself. It's really an awareness of having felt that way or feeling that way in myself. And that was what I've been feeling today, having received a message from her that was all hunky-dory. And then there was just one line. There was one tiny little line, and it was nested into other stuff. It was just essentially that with this offer, everything financially was taken care of, and I would never have to hear from the HOA, because there's been a situation with that and insurance, or her again. It was, you'll never have to hear from them or me again. And then on to the next thing. And immediately I felt guilt, right? I felt a sense of guilt. And then there was anger, right on the heels of that. And just a feeling like whether or not she was consciously doing it, it just seemed like a clear kind of statement of manipulation, of intentional guilting, and absolutely she was raised in that environment, and also absolutely that is the kind of thing that I used to do all the time. And I can relate to, I can understand that perspective, that feeling of I am doing you a favor by getting out of your life, because I am just such a burden to you and so miserable to be around, and it's so unpleasant for you to interact with me, that I am giving you the gift of leaving you alone, essentially. And that's not a comfortable feeling on either side. On either side. That is a toxic pit. And so I just want to acknowledge that my discomfort with that and my reaction to that is really just a reflection of the reaction to myself. Because again, that is myself. And that is behavior that is not outside of me or below me. That is behavior that I have engaged in. And it's time for me to accept that, and also accept that that came from and comes from a place of hurt, a place of fear, a place of feeling defensive and less than, and just lacking. That's where all of that comes from. And then I am reminded, and have been thinking about this since yesterday. I just looked up at 11:11. I'm gonna have to get up in a second to get UPS. But the story of the monk Ryokan, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and the thief. And Ryokan, being a monk, was living as a hermit in the mountains with basically nothing. And he comes back to his hut one day to find that there's a thief there. And the thief is looking around perplexed because there's nothing to steal. And Ryokan says to the thief, "You've come all this way, you've gone to such trouble, you can't leave empty-handed." So he gives the thief his robe, the robe off of his body. And the thief, kind of confused and bewildered, takes it and leaves. And Ryokan looks up at the sky and says, "What a shame, I wish I could have given him this beautiful moon." And it's that understanding, that awareness of a deeper kind of wealth, a wealth that is not without but beyond material goods, and recognizing that he is lamenting the thief in his perspective of lack. This man would not be a thief if he didn't feel that he was missing something, that he was lacking, and that something was owed to him. And he wishes, more than giving the thief material goods, to impart upon him the knowledge and the feeling of abundance, of actual abundance, because that is worth more than any material item. I gotta go get the mail now. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say anyway. Just resting in abundance.